Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Silence, please. Silence, please. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee. I'm Paul Krikorian, Chair of the Committee, joined by my colleagues, Mr. Blumenfield, Ms. Martinez, and Mr. Bonin. We're ready to begin. Members, well, I guess since we have cards, I won't be able to, but I was going to propose that we take up items number 10 and 11 on consent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take our item-specific comment, and before we proceed into closed session, then we'll go ahead and vote on our consent items, or I'll propose them again for consent approval, and then we'll go to closed session. So let's go ahead and take our agenda-specific cards first, and we'll go ahead and give 5 minutes to Mr. Previn, and 5 minutes following Mr. Previn to Mr. Spindler on all items. Oh, I'm sorry. Is
3 minutes.
The rule of the committee is 3 minutes? I'm sorry. Okay. 3 minutes. All right. 3 minutes. All right. We'll go ahead and take Mr. Spindler first then. Go ahead, Mr. Spindler. And I apologize, Mr. Previn. It's actually, the rule is 3 minutes. I thought it was 5, but it's 3. So
this is 3 minutes in the items, and then I'll have a minute on general public comment.
Yes.
My name is Eric Previn, and I'm from the second district, sir, your district, Studio City, California. And disclosure, I am running for the office of mayor here in Los Angeles. I'll start with item 10, which Mr. Blumenfield, who is a big ITA advocate, will note. Page 8 of the attachment to this item is about Channel 35, which we are upgrading substantially to the tune of $23 million at the Merced Theater. But in the interim, because we have exceeded our lease at Union Bank, he would like to put the ITA group on the 10th floor. It's going to cost $650,000 to GSD from an ITA fund, and they will be housed there until 2 years when this brand new facility that is fancy and glamorous is finished for the Channel 35 offices. Channel 35 is the telecast on which this body regularly broadcasts their meetings. This is not being broadcast because it's audio, but they handle it as well. This group, Ted Ross runs it, are in substantial violation of the law, as you have been warned, as the city has been noticed. Council Rule 93 very specifically suggests that recognized speakers in a public meeting, this is a council rule, your own rule, must appear substantially the same size as everybody. We cannot do what you have been trying to do, which is keep everybody hashtag the size of Mr. Blumenfield's nose in the public telecast. The reason why you can't do that is because the whole purpose of this government telecast is to inform and update the residents of our community about who is speaking about what, and to bring input into city government. That is what the 2020 report in 2013 said was the biggest problem with Los Angeles, and that is what is required. And to do anything but comport with that law is really, really hurtful to individuals in this community across all of the districts. Okay. Item number 12 is a superhuman effort was exerted on behalf of Mr. Reggie Cole to get him out of jail after 14 years of serving for a crime that he did not commit. It is appalling. He had to murder another prisoner to get himself out of jail in some strange, bizarre twist. This is a heartbreaking story. And there are many other stories on today's agenda that I won't be able to get to in the limited time, like item number 2, where a woman detective, Patricia Houck, famously won an award as being a great detective. And this poor woman was subjected to the same kind of retaliation from a guy, Detective Sarah, who had Charlie Beck on speed dial. And that's why he felt he could put his hand on her thigh, Nuri Martinez. And that's why we are facing yet another lawsuit. And in this council chamber, in this hallowed budget and finance group, we have sequestered these particular details into the back room to work with Mr. Wayne Song, who I agree today has showed up from the claims board. I guess he'll be helping. And what will happen is we will roll out substantial settlements that will fit into this judgment obligation bond program on which January 9th you violated me from not participating in this very meeting as I stood there begging for a card, begging to be heard. And this needs to change, and Council Rule 93 needs to be enforced.
You can go right into your general comment. Go ahead and take your general public comment.
Thank you. glad that Mr. Englander arrived for my general comment because he is behaving
Spindler, be
on
quiet.
behalf of the...
I'm sorry, Mr.
No,
Hold his time.
I'm speaking now, sir.
No, I'm the chair. Hold his time. Mr. Spindler, you need to not disrupt this meeting. When we're trying to listen to Mr. Previn, you can't sit there and make animal sounds in the front row or you'll be asked to leave. Okay, start his time over, please, at 1 minute.
When I raised my voice on January 9th, just a little louder than this, to say, may I be heard on the judgment obligation bond public comment, please, sir, you said, you're disrupting the meeting. And this is what is wrong with Mr. Englander's performance during city council meetings and Mr. Wesson and those who do the same thing. This is a general public comment, Mr. Englander, and your comments are not appreciated. But what's really not appreciated is the way you train the camera on yourself and then make false representations about what members of the public are doing in the hall and allege that they are disrupting the meeting. This is a pattern that you have been we're in the process of documenting very carefully what you've been doing. But what has to happen going forward is Council Rule 93 says the public must be seen the same as everybody else. You are required to comply with the law. You changed the public comment rules from 2 minutes to 1 minute for people in this community to come down and address items. Why? Why? Because there's too much disruptions of the meeting. This is a fraud, and it needs to be exposed. And that's why I'm running for mayor, and I urge you to go to the LA Times opinion section and hear why I talk about this at their Facebook site. And thank you for your attention to the details of shuffling all this money to ITA. You're welcome.
But I do want to just mention to you, because you are a stickler on the rules. In our committees, the general public comment does need to relate to the subject matter of the committee, not anything in the world. In council, it may be different, but in committee, you try to bring it to the subject matter of it.
Well, I thought those remarks were completely relevant.
I didn't want to cut
You're
you off.
going to be sued by others and many
I'm just
others.
giving you that suggestion. I'm not having a dialogue with you. I'm just giving you that suggestion for the future.
Well, you should make a suggestion to Mr. Englander to follow the law.
Thank you. You're done. Mr. Spindler.
Yes, yes. So it's good to see the Dibbledorf show up. Yes, now we have, number 2. Oh, I heard about number 2 on Saturday. Madonna talked about item number 2. Yes, they wear pussy caps and they protested in Washington and they protested here. Sexual harassment. A woman detective can't even work here that has an attractive body and nice face without being sexually harassed by the fucking police chief. Are we going to fire the police chief? No. We're going to pay this woman to retire. Probably a very good detective, a very good person, but she has to leave the city because she can't work here due to harassment. You know, harassment is a bunch of retaliation and bullshit. And everybody walks around here like they're in a mummy, like they're a fucking mummy. Now you get to the next several items. There's all kinds of lawsuits. And again, thank you all for suing this city because the only way you get justice in this city is a federal lawsuit. Now you get to item 10. Well, did Union Bank is the one that's financing you, number 10. Did you know they hold the mortgage, the defaulted mortgage on Herb Wesson's house? No, you didn't know that. And did you file a Rule 60 disclosure under the, look at the headache, the absolute nightmare of the chair. A Rule 60 ethics disclosure that the president of the goddamn council does business with Union Bank. He defaulted and they didn't sell his house, and yet they have Union Bank contracts with the city and there's been no recusals. Did you know that? No. Well, see, we know that. And then number 12, Reggie Cole. This is going to cost so much money, it has to have its own judgment bond. Yes, now we have to have bonds, junk bonds sold by Wall Street to pay for the incarceration, 14 years of an innocent man. That's what you do. That's what the reserve officer, Mitchell Englander, does. That's what they all do here. And I'm very surprised, Mr. Blumenfield, that you haven't resigned yet from this council, because you really are a good guy. You're not the criminal. The rest of them are, but not you. But you're going to run for re-election. That's too bad. So the rest of this stuff is pay to play. Yes, you're all going to play the game of pay. That's so terrible, isn't it? Yeah, you get the 1 minute.
1 minute general public comment.
1 minute of...
Getting to a subject matter.
Yes, it's about the budget. Yes, the budget. Well, the budget gets hit with lawsuits. And you see the puppet and my friend here? We have 2 federal lawsuits filed against the city that's going to break the budget. Well, not really, because you see, they could settle my lawsuit. But you see, the problem is they disarm me on a false TRO, and after I can't have a gun, somebody crawls over my back fence with a knife and tries to attack me. That's what they do. Now, I could be dead right now, which would be nice for these, 4 people, because the other one there doesn't want to see violence. But you see, I'm alive! Alive and kicking! Alive and kicking, and that's right. We're going to keep on living. We're going to keep on fighting, because one day we're all going to be able to leave this bankrupt city, and these 4 will be in handcuffs. Oh, well, too bad.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spindler. Members, items 10 and 11, I would have proposed for consent approval. Item 10, the recommendation would be to concur in the Entertainment and Facilities Committee report, and item 11 to approve the CAO's recommendations. Are there any questions on those matters, members?
No.
Any objections? Seeing none, that will be the action of the committee on items 10 and 11. And then item number 12, we have already approved the payment in this matter, but this is another one of those that we are enabling for the judgment obligation bond, and as I expect that at least Mr. Englander will want to vote no on this, I wanted to bring it for a vote. So is there anybody else other than Mr. Englander who wishes to be recorded as a no? All right, then it will be the action of the committee by 4-1 vote to approve item number 12 with Mr. Englander recorded as a no. Is there any other general public comment?
No, sir, there is not.
Are there any other comment cards on any of our agenda items?
No, sir, there is not.
All right, then that concludes our open session, and we will proceed now into closed session. And general public comment is closed. All right, we are now back in open session, and there being no other items before the committee is adjourned. Thank you all.